So you guys remember about, let's say 4 months ago whenever I made a top 10 Zootopia fanfiction video? Well, like any normal person, I went ahead and since then have read quite a few other Zootopia fanfictions that have inspired me in my own writing and I just think are pretty darn good. And so I've decided to make another list of my favorite Zootopia fanfictions, only it's not going to be a top 10 because I really kind of feel like those are, one, overused, and two, it feels like I'm sort of ranking these comparing to others, and I don't want to do that. So in a way, this is just going to be a list of 10 Zootopia fanfictions I really like, and you guys should definitely go read. So this is in no real particular order. None of them I really feel are better than the others in the fact that they would in a top 10 list. I just put these there as I was looking through my favorites list and picked out the ones I wanted to talk about. So we're going to start with Embrace It by Starfang Secrets. This is a follow-up to a one-shot that this author wrote named Primal Instincts. And the Primal Instincts takes place directly after the officers arrive at the museum in the movie. And in it, I'm going to have to spoil a little bit, but honestly, if you're reading Embrace It, then you've probably already read Primal Instincts, and so you already know the sort of general story. And so basically, Nick accidentally steps on a night howler pellet as all the sheep and bellwether are being handled, and he goes savage, but thankfully, he is able to control it thanks to Judy, and whenever they give him the cure, something about it didn't work. Or it explains one of the chapters. It's something with like different mindsets. I cannot for the life of me explain it, but basically different personalities in the brain kind of got jumbled up together, and so now he's in a sort of primal state where he is both savage and not savage, which is why they call it primal. His instincts are heightened. He gives off a sort of aura of danger to other animals and an aura of awesomeness to young kids. You can already kind of tell that how this story could go wrong. They can have Nick be a superhero for the ZPD where he goes and, kicks butt and then gets a whole bunch of fame. And you can maybe see how with all these different Zootopia tropes, how Judy can be overly attracted to his predatory instincts or super afraid. But what Starfang Secrets does in this story is an amazing job of keeping all these characters in character. It feels like something that could actually happen in the universe of Zootopia. It's so well written. There are so many great twists, and the villain, Twilly the Ewe, is the most fudged up villain I have ever read, and it's amazing. You have to go try the story out. It's so fantastic, so awesome. So glad I went and read it. Next one is When Instinct Falls by Upplet. This is a long story. In it, Nick and Judy are married, which was kind of fun because besides my story, I've read almost no other stories where Nick and Judy were married, and so it was nice to see someone else's take on it. Basically, it's them sort of growing as a couple and as husband and wife and as mates, and eventually other dastardly criminals come in. Okay, so there is a part of me that at first said that it was getting too long, like it felt drawn out in places, but then as you just keep going, When Instinct Falls, it's almost like its own community in a sense. Upplet has done an amazing job of fleshing out Zootopia's world. You get to see more of Tundra Town, you get to see some of the lands that we didn't see, like the Nocturnal District or the Outback Islands, and this huge cast of characters. It feels like a direct continuation of Zootopia. It's phenomenal. They have Upplet's created some amazing villains like Vladzos the Bat, Shahaz the Singer, Stinger, Grigori, Rasputin, one of my favorite villains, and just all these different characters. I want to say, is it Ivan? I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember now. Super great characters. And with all this different bonus content, fleshing out other characters, it's basically just the gift that keeps on giving. As long as Upplet is passionate about this, it's going to keep going, and it's going to keep fleshing out Zootopia, and it's going to keep bringing people together. I mean, people have drawn fan art for this, fantastic fan art of characters and even landscapes, which is why it's so fantastic. If you are bored and you don't have anything to keep you occupied for a while, definitely try out When Instinct Falls. It's got plenty of content to keep you satiated for a good long time. And even then, after you're finished with it, there's still going to be more coming. So it's a win-win for everyone. Next one is The Violet Diaries by It Takes Two. Good golly, this is one I recently found. First chapter was just an emotional roller coaster, like unbelievably emotional roller coaster. Story is after Nick and Judy have had a a bit of fun exploring each other for a while. Judy finds herself pregnant with Nick's son, or child. It's not son, it's a child. It ends up being a girl later on. But anyway, so the entire first chapter is Judy feeling rather distraught because she and Nick, they had this good friendship going. And now basically this child is threatening to ruin it because Judy feels like what they had those nights was just sort of a fling. It wasn't them, in her mind, it wasn't them committing to something, And so she decides to try to raise the child by herself. Eventually that fails. Nick finds out, and you learn that it wasn't not a commitment for Nick. He legitimately, they both had feelings for each other, but they both misunderstood what the other was feeling. But by the end of it, because, if you read forward, by the end of it, they have little Violet, a fox or a funny or a box or a fox bunny hybrid thing, who is the most adorable little baby, or most adorable little kit in the world. The rest of the story, the rest of the chapters follow Nick and Judy as the relationship grows, as they so lovingly take care of Violet. It's the most adorable thing ever. It will put a smile on your face, but it also has some drama in there, of which life has. Life has drama. So it is just awesome. And the fact that the first chapter fits so many emotions into just that one block of text, whew, boy, it was a roller coaster. And speaking of one-shots and or just one chapters that fit a whole bunch of emotions, and I'm pretty sure most of you are pretty familiar with this one. This one is Sad Judy by FriteWag. This one came out soon after the movie came out, so this is one of sort of those legendary ones, or one of the most well-known ones. It's a one-shot where basically Nick starts dating, but it isn't with Judy. And so that alone, that first idea is what kept me off for so long, because I was shipping them, and I didn't really want a story where Nick and Judy weren't together, and like, not romantically, but even platonically. If Nick is dating someone else, that takes time away from their friendship, and that can tear them apart. But a friend of mine explained to me that the ending was actually good and worth all the emotional trauma, and so I gave it a read. And holy crap, I felt so many different emotions, and it was really well done. With fanfictions like Sad Judy, they make the characters a bit more adult than they are in the movie. And by adult, I mean, like 18 plus, cursing a lot, really into stuff, that kind of thing. Which is fine if you're like me and you don't really care, as long as they keep the base character and add that on top. The ends where Nick, by this time most people have already read it, by the end where Nick and Judy actually get together, you just feel this sort of, yes! It makes you feel just as accomplished as if you finished like a long and arduous book. And that's saying something for just a one-shot. And it also has a continuation, Sad Nick. I totally recommend reading it. It's fantastic. Next one is Say Something I'm Giving Up on You by LandraWolf. I made the mistake of reading this all the way through to, from chapter 1 to its most recent chapter in one day. And I say mistake because it pushed all the right buttons to make me feel just drained, to be like, Story is, Judy's starting to have nightmares where Nick's going savage. And after an incident where Nick saved this fox from this bear, and the bear was sent to the prison, and then he was called in because the bear was going crazy, Nick exhibits some angry and not Nick characteristics, and it starts to tear him and Judy apart, and it also starts to bring to light Judy's nightmares. And holy crap, my heart feels heavy just thinking about it. Sure, there are sad stories, but I'm a sucker for anything that deals with losing a best friend or losing a family member. That stuff just really hits home for me. And even though it's not like something I have disorders about, that's just the thing that's most important, that if you lose it, you just really feel empty. There's even a part in here, one chapter, that, oh gosh, made me happy that it ended in the happy note that it did. I had heard the song, Say Something I'm Giving Up on You. I've never actually watched the music video all the way through, so it never really hit me exactly what this song was saying. That story smacked its meaning straight in the face, and ooh, every time I just think about that song, I want to tear up. The third chapter, where Nick goes in to find the bear going all crazy, it's really iffy. If you can just get past the 3rd chapter, you can go on because it gets better from there. So it starts out great, 3rd chapter, it kind of tanks, but then it goes on and actually gets really good. But the ending at the end does feel kind of rushed. That's all I'm going to say. It does feel rushed, but there is, I think, a promise of a sequel, which is good. Something to look forward to. And so, yeah, definitely give it a read if you're willing to look past some of its flaws. Next one is called The Savage Dark by Kulkum. This is the same guy who is working on the Sunderance fanfiction and also working with the artist who making the Sunderance comic, which I definitely recommend go reading because holy crap, Sunderance is awesome. So this is a story that follows the events of another story that Kulkum wrote called The Broken Mask. And in that story, it's kind of a Nick and Judy hookup story, but it's FriteWag character development in there. After Nick and Judy get together in the events of The Broken Mask, things start to go kind of downhill. You learn that Nick has been affected by Night Howler. It's very similar to Embrace It in that he's in a sort of primal state, except in this one, he has very little control. Well, I say little control. He can control it, but it's definitely more unstable than it is in Embrace It. But luckily, Judy is there as sort of the acting restraint and suppressant to his savage side towards others. As long as Judy's around, Nick will rarely attack other people. But it's really good. It has the characters has the adult on top of the base characters, which is really good. And it has such a great mystery. It has a spy in there that I'm still not 100% sure is good or not because of how it was introduced at the very beginning, but it is chugging along at a great pace, and it keeps you on the edge of your seat the only way a spy movie action thriller type story can. It's so darn good. You've got to go read it. Next one is called The Masks We Wear by SovietMD. This is another one of those sort of more well-known fan fictions. Holy crap, it's phenomenal! Again, another Nick and Judy hookup story. But unlike, I know, I haven't read a whole bunch of Nick and Judy hookup stories because they're almost all the same, but this one feels so great and so different. There's something that the story does that's different from most that I've read. It feels like these two are legitimate characters, adults even, who are, getting together. It doesn't feel like this huge emotional river of emotions that burst forth upon confessing their feelings. It was just sort of a, hey Carrots, you want to go out to dinner with me? Sure, goes to dinner, and then, stuff starts from there. It starts out nice, simple, and it feels like how Disney would probably take up if Nick and Judy ever got together. It would be subtle, it wouldn't be in your face with overabundance of gushy, gooey emotions, and it's just so wonderful. Everything about it, and it has all the drama that it needs too. It's amazing. Characters are really well written, and Nick and Judy both have very sassy minds that talk back to them. And what's so great, there's this line that repeats in the story called "I don't need your sass," and that one hits home for me because I have very fond memories with some really close friends regarding that line, and so that was just an added bonus for me. And so everything about the story is just fun, fluffy, and brings a smile to one's face. You gotta go read it. Gotta. Next one is called Riding Wilde by BobotheKlown. This one seemed interesting. The summary for it was just immediately eye-grabbing. It had sort of a Dr. Seuss rhyme scheme going on, and it caught my attention. I really liked it. So basically, in this story, Nick and Judy get together, and during one of their dates, sort of homeless fox comes in and attacks them, and Nick ends up killing the fox to save Judy. But what spawns from that is this night terror, or this dark portion of Nick's mind that starts to torment him at night. And it's like this dark, evil dark wolf that just won't stop messing with him, tears him apart, literally limb from limb in his dreams, has eaten him alive in his dreams. It has a great build-up between Nick and Judy's relationship as it goes along. What's even better is that they discover an underground an underground fight club where the main boss may be eating other animals. And so Nick has to go undercover to get in there, and then, because he's fighting other animals, his dark side is, starting to get to him and, get him to start killing other people. And so it's very suspenseful, have you on the edge of your seat, but then also will have you smiling because of the Nick and Judy fluff. It's really well handled, really well balanced, and everything's great about it. It's interesting too because it's written from Nick's perspective and Judy's perspective at different times, and so it'll flip. And so it's really kind of fun to get inside these characters' heads. And they do a good job of keeping characters in character. It's definitely a fun read. The next one is called New Directions by Selaxes, but honestly, anything on Selaxes' profile needs to be read by you guys. Go read them. Literally everyone. It was hard enough for me to just pick one of these so I could give other stories a chance to be on here. But you have to go read the stories. They're just phenomenal. Anyway, New Directions follows the events of a one-shot by Selaxes called Nothing to Fear. I think this is his first fan fiction on the site, where basically Nick and Judy confess their feelings for each other after Nick gets grazed from birdshot, I believe it's called. Nothing too fatal, but it's enough to have Judy stay over at his place to make sure he is coping well with all the medicine and stuff, and basically, feelings ensue. After the events of Nothing to Fear, New Directions basically just is the fluffiest story of Nick and Judy getting married. There is so much fluff. Do not eat, drink, or consume in any form anything sugary, or you will definitely get diabetes from reading this story. It is just overly fluffy. Characters are great. It does get a bit too good to be true in some cases, but that's actually the point of the story. Talking with Selaxes, I learned that this story was written as a dare from one of his friends to write the fluffiest thing possible, but at the same time, he was also writing this other story called A Darkness Brightly Burning, which is a rather dark Zootopia alternate universe where predators are being subjugated with tame collars and everything. And this New Directions was kind of written as also a therapy story, something to get out of the funk that A Darkness Brightly Burning created. And after I read Darkness Brightly Burning, I went back and reread A New Directions, and it got me right out of that funk, so it's definitely good there. It is totally worth the read. And from there, read other Selaxes stuff. Bride for the Children, Red Tails and Wild Skies, and Tales of the High Seas, and Sound to the Heart, and gosh mercy, everything. Everything's so good. Go read them now, please. Tell them I sent you. Okay, last but not least, definitely not least, Through the Wall by Armae. Holy crap! This one's so darn good! I'm gonna get this out now. If I hadn't read Unnatural by Hilber14, the first Zootopia fanfiction I read, this would have been my all-time favorite Zootopia story. As it is right now, Unnatural and this story are probably my two all-time favorite stories, which is kind of funny because I have two all-time favorite movies, Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia. The time zone is in between Bellwether's arrest and Nick's graduation, so it's kind of in the time span that follows. And basically, it's Nick and Judy's relationship growing. Nick has started having feelings for Judy, but he doesn't want to risk destroying the friendship, and so he stays back. But after a drugged Judy, thanks to her being in the hospital because of her leg, because of what happened in the National Museum, she sets into motion a series of events that slowly brings the two together, or tears them apart. This is the only fan fiction I can remember reading that has brought me to the verge of tears. And not because of, oh my god, it's so sad, but it's for the same reason why I nearly cried after reading Netflix's The Little Prince, or Up from Pixar. It hit those strings of losing a good friend or losing a family member. Gosh, and it's not Nick and Judy losing each other, it's Nick and his father leaving letters for Nick. And so it just, ooh man, there's just something about that really struck home, and it was like sort of a happy sadness, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad his dad was happy and really nice, but I'm also sad his dad was dead. But oh my gosh, so great. With all first fan fiction, starts off 50 but it just gets better and better. Character development in this is phenomenal. I mean, it goes into Finnick's backstory and it is awesome. It goes into Nick's mom's backstory. Her name is Vivian in this story. At first, she's kind of vulgar, curses a whole bunch, and so it feels real. Her character feels sort of like meh at the beginning, but oh my gosh, she gets so much better as it goes on, and I've earned another OTP because of this story. And oh my gosh, it's so good. Everything about this is super well paced, like it's not too fast, not too slow, and even threw in a plot twist to keep people on the edge of the seat. Whenever it came in, chills went down my spine, and I was freaking out a little bit. I was like, oh my gosh, please tell me everything goes okay. And it does. It goes through it rather fast. Similar to how, Bellwether was rather quickly taken down in the movie, but at the same time, even though it's rather short and fast, you still feel like, Oh, that was so close. Felt like it could have been bad. It's phenomenal. Please go read it. Go read all of these stories. That's all I have listed. But yeah, go read all these stories. And my previous video, top 10 favorite fanfictions, I still stand by those guys too. I still stand by all of them, even the strongest bonds, the one I put on there. I stand by them. Read all these stories. Read all 20 stories I've put up. You can actually click here to go watch the top 10 Zootopia fanfictions. I've probably already put the same link further back into the video, and all the links to the stories I mentioned are in the description below. Please go read them, and if you want to, go give some of my stories a try, because I would really appreciate it. Anyway, that's all I have for you. Hopefully I did better time-wise. Yeah, definitely. Excuse me. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, so, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, want to hit the like button, share this with your friends. If you're new here, why not consider subscribing? Also remember, stay tuned for more gameplays, animations, article videos like this that I may have in store for you. See ya!